I will say this. This is great news for Shedeur Sanders because Cleveland had given the impression, hey, we don't mind having this past weekend. Shedeur Sanders basically, they basically said, hey, you're on this roster. We believe in you. We're going to continue to develop you. We have faith in you, et cetera, et cetera.
I want to know what I have in Shedeur Sanders by the end of the year because, again, Ab, to your point, they're going to have 2 first-round picks. So I think what I would say to Shedeur is every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that's your game day. You may not be number 2 right now.
This past weekend, he really hasn't done anything. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. I mean, he hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been a less than a model citizen focused on, being the best that he can be. He hasn't done anything. So I think that when we look at it, he's going in there, he's working hard, he's trying to improve every day. He's saying all the right things, trying to elevate his level of play. And remember, up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dillon Gabriel because he performed better against Carolina than Dillon Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Just reminded me, he's in 3rd percentile in height. It's really hard to have sustained success in the NFL. Drew Brees is the obvious outlier when you are so short. So to me, it's a big risk. You go from 4 quarterbacks, which we've talked about all summer long, to literally for a 40-year-old quarterback to be backed up by a very unproven, very short by NFL standards.
I want to see him.
Yeah.
And the fact that whatever those training camp stats are worth, and maybe it's next to nothing, it's not nothing, and it's not 0% that they're worth. And every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody.
Really, really good.
Yeah, cool.
Proud of you.
All right. Cool.
Really, really nice job.
You're not fully proud, kinda.
I'm
kinda proud.
Look, for this first side, was a perfect no, but she made plays, you operated it's just stacked.
I love when you tell the facts. Did you? No, but it's okay. It's okay.
Listen, you did a nice job.
Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line.
You won't believe what just happened in Cleveland. Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bombshell about Shedeur Sanders that changes everything we thought we knew about the Browns' quarterback situation. While everyone was focused on the Kenny Pickett trade, something much bigger was happening behind the scenes, and it involves the most controversial rookie quarterback in the NFL right now. What Stephen A. revealed about Shedeur's future will shock you, especially when you hear what GM Andrew Berry whispered to him after that preseason game. This isn't just another quarterback story. This is about a young man who's about to prove every doubter wrong, and I've got the inside details that nobody else is talking about. The NFL landscape just shifted dramatically, and Shedeur Sanders is at the center of it all. I'm about to break down Stephen A. Smith's explosive comments about why the Browns are going all in on Sanders, despite what the critics are saying. We'll explore the real reason behind the Kenny Pickett trade, reveal the shocking conversation between GM Andrew Berry and Shedeur that cameras barely caught, and expose why Coach Kevin Stefanski's job might actually depend on what happens with Sanders next. Plus, I'll show you the training camp stats that prove Shedeur is already outperforming everyone, including Dillon Gabriel. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this could be the most important moment in Shedeur Sanders' career and why Cleveland might have just found their franchise quarterback. Here's where things get absolutely fascinating, and Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when he made this announcement. According to Stephen A., the Kenny Pickett trade wasn't just about getting rid of an underperforming quarterback. It was a clear message to Shedeur Sanders that the Browns organization believes in him at the highest level. This is great news for Shedeur Sanders, Stephen A. declared, because Cleveland had given the impression that they don't mind having him on this roster. They basically said, "Hey, you're on this roster. We believe in you. We're going to continue to develop you. We have faith in you." But here's what makes this revelation so powerful. Stephen A. isn't just talking about generic organizational support. He's talking about something much deeper. The most shocking part of Stephen A.'s analysis came when he revealed the Browns' true intentions. "I want to know what I have in Shedeur Sanders by the end of the year." Think about what that means. This isn't about keeping him as a backup or developmental project. The Browns want to see if Shedeur can be their franchise quarterback, and they're willing to give him real opportunities to prove it. But Stephen A. didn't stop there. He dropped another bombshell about the Browns' draft strategy. They're going to have 2 first-round picks. This changes everything because it means Cleveland has options. They could draft another quarterback if Shedeur doesn't pan out, but more importantly, it means they have the luxury of being patient with his development while still maintaining high expectations. What really caught my attention was Stephen A.'s specific advice to Shedeur: every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that's your game day. You may not be number 2 right now, but Kenny Pickett's trade has shaken things up. This isn't just motivational speaking. This is strategic career advice from someone who understands how the NFL works. The timing of this announcement is crucial. Stephen A. made these comments right after the Pickett trade, which means he's seeing connections that others might miss. The trade wasn't just about removing competition, it was about creating opportunity. And according to Stephen A., Shedeur is in the perfect position to capitalize on that opportunity. Here's what makes Stephen A.'s perspective so valuable. He's not just looking at Shedeur's current performance, he's analyzing the organizational dynamics. When he says the Browns are putting their trust in Shedeur, he's reading between the lines of front office decisions, coaching staff comments, and roster moves. This isn't speculation, this is informed analysis from someone who has decades of experience watching how NFL organizations operate. The most telling part of Stephen A.'s revelation was his emphasis on belief. The Browns believe in Sanders and want to see him step up. In the NFL, organizational belief translates into opportunities, playing time, and development resources. When a team believes in a young quarterback, they invest in his success in ways that go far beyond just keeping him on the roster. Now here's where Shedeur Sanders is separating himself from every other rookie quarterback in the league, and it's something that Stephen A. Smith specifically highlighted as a game changer. While other young quarterbacks are dealing with off-field distractions, social media controversies, or attitude problems, Shedeur has maintained what Stephen A. calls a model citizen approach that's catching everyone's attention. This past weekend, he really hasn't done anything wrong, Stephen A. emphasized. I mean, he hasn't gotten in any trouble. He hasn't been saying the wrong things. He hasn't been less than a model citizen focused on being the best that he can be. But here's why this matters more than you might think. In today's NFL, character concerns can derail a career faster than poor performance on the field. Think about the quarterbacks who failed not because they lacked talent, but because they couldn't handle the pressure, the media attention, or the expectations that come with the position. Shedeur is showing maturity that goes far beyond his years, and NFL organizations notice this kind of consistency. When Stephen A. says he hasn't done anything, he's not just talking about avoiding negative headlines. He's talking about the daily choices that build trust with coaches, teammates, and front office executives. The most impressive aspect of Shedeur's approach is his communication strategy. Stephen A. noted that he's saying all the right things, which in the NFL means understanding how to handle media responsibilities, interact with teammates, and represent the organization professionally. This isn't just about being polite in interviews, it's about demonstrating the leadership qualities that franchises look for in their quarterback. But here's where it gets really interesting. Stephen A. revealed that Shedeur is going in there, working hard, trying to improve every day. This work ethic is being noticed by everyone in the organization, from position coaches to the general manager. In a league where talent is often equal, the players who separate themselves are the ones who outwork everyone else, and Shedeur is building that reputation. The timing of this clean record is crucial because it's happening during the most scrutinized period of his career. Every rookie quarterback faces intense pressure, but Shedeur is dealing with additional expectations because of his famous father and the media attention that comes with the Sanders name. The fact that he's handling all of this while maintaining focus on his development shows a level of mental toughness that can't be taught. Stephen A. also highlighted something that many people overlook: consistency. He's trying to elevate his level of play isn't just about one good practice or one impressive throw. It's about showing up every single day with the same attitude, the same work ethic, and the same commitment to improvement. NFL coaches and executives value this consistency because it indicates how a player will handle the long-term pressures of a professional career. What makes this even more significant is that Shedeur is doing all of this while competing for a roster spot and trying to move up the depth chart. Many young players struggle to balance the competitive aspects of their situation with the need to be a good teammate and organizational citizen. Shedeur is managing both seamlessly. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn, and Stephen A. Smith revealed something that completely changes how we should view Shedeur Sanders' trajectory with the Browns. Before we even get to the recent developments, Stephen A. dropped a bombshell about what was already happening on the depth chart. Up until this past weekend, we did think there was a legitimate argument that he should have been higher on the depth chart than Dillon Gabriel. This isn't just opinion, this is based on actual performance analysis. Stephen A. specifically pointed to Shedeur's performance against Carolina compared to Dillon Gabriel's showing against the Eagles in preseason action. He performed better against Carolina than Dillon Gabriel had performed in the preseason game against the Eagles. When you break down the tape and look at the numbers, Shedeur was already making a case for the number 2 spot before any of the recent roster moves happened. But here's what makes this revelation so significant. It means Shedeur's rise isn't just about other players being traded or released. He was earning his way up the depth chart through performance, consistency, and demonstrating that he could handle NFL-level competition. The Kenny Pickett trade didn't create his opportunity, it just removed an obstacle that was preventing him from getting the recognition he had already earned. The most fascinating aspect of this depth chart movement is how it reflects the coaching staff's evolving evaluation process. Initially, many assumed that Dillon Gabriel, with his college experience and preseason performance, would have a clear advantage over the rookie. But as Stephen A. noted, when you actually compare their performances in similar situations, Shedeur was showing more of the qualities that translate to NFL success. What's particularly impressive is how Shedeur handled the competition without creating any drama or controversy. While he was outperforming Gabriel in key areas, he maintained the professional approach that Stephen A. highlighted. This shows a level of maturity that goes beyond just physical talent. It demonstrates the kind of leadership mentality that franchises build around. The timing of this depth chart revelation is crucial because it shows that Shedeur's recent momentum isn't just a flash in the pan. Stephen A. is essentially saying that the writing was already on the wall before the Pickett trade, before the recent coaching staff comments, and before the front office started showing more public support. Shedeur was already proving himself through his play. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Stephen A.'s analysis suggests that the only thing preventing Shedeur from being recognized as the clear number 2 quarterback was organizational politics and the natural tendency to favor veterans or more experienced players. But performance doesn't lie, and according to Stephen A., Shedeur's performance was speaking louder than any other factor. The most telling part of this depth chart analysis is what it says about Shedeur's trajectory. If he was already outperforming Gabriel before getting additional opportunities and organizational support, imagine what he can accomplish now that the Browns are fully committed to his development. Stephen A. is essentially predicting that we're about to see an acceleration of Shedeur's rise, not just the beginning of it. This is where the story becomes absolutely explosive, and it reveals just how dramatically the situation has changed for Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. Coach Kevin Stefanski has done a complete reversal in his approach to Shedeur, and according to multiple analysts, this shift could determine not just Shedeur's future but Stefanski's own job security. Just weeks ago, Stefanski was downplaying Shedeur's role and even unfairly criticizing the rookie quarterback. The coach seemed hesitant to give Shedeur meaningful opportunities and was quick to deflect questions about his development. But after the Kenny Pickett trade, everything changed. Suddenly, Stefanski is making statements like, "I'm committed to his development just like all of our rookies. We'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to." But here's what makes this transformation so significant. It's not just about changing his public comments. According to insider reports, Stefanski's entire approach to Shedeur in practice, in meetings, and in game planning has shifted dramatically. The coach who was once reluctant to even discuss Shedeur's potential is now actively working to create opportunities for him to succeed. The most revealing aspect of Stefanski's new approach is his response to outside criticism. When asked about external pressure regarding Shedeur's development, Stefanski said, "I don't concern myself with outside type of things." This might sound like typical coach speak, but it actually represents a significant shift. Previously, Stefanski seemed influenced by external opinions about Shedeur. Now he's taking ownership of the development process and shutting out the noise. What's particularly interesting is the timing of this change. Multiple analysts, including TJ Houshmandzadeh, have pointed out that Stefanski's job security might actually depend on how he handles the Shedeur situation. Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line, Houshmandzadeh observed, and this pressure seems to have clarified Stefanski's priorities. The most dramatic evidence of Stefanski's transformation is how he's now publicly defending Shedeur against critics. The same coach who was once hesitant to praise the rookie is now making it clear that he's fully committed to developing Shedeur, no matter what the critics say. This isn't just a change in messaging, it's a complete philosophical shift about Shedeur's role in the organization. Here's why this matters so much. In the NFL, a head coach's support can make or break a young quarterback's career. When a coach is fully invested in a player's development, it translates into more practice reps, better game planning, and the kind of patience that allows young players to learn from mistakes without losing confidence. But there's another layer to this story that makes it even more compelling. According to several analysts, Stefanski's initial reluctance to embrace Shedeur wasn't just about football evaluation, it was about organizational politics and the pressure to justify previous roster decisions. Now that the Kenny Pickett experiment has ended, Stefanski has the freedom to fully invest in Shedeur's development without worrying about how it reflects on previous choices. The most telling sign of Stefanski's transformation is his willingness to put his reputation on the line for Shedeur's success. When a coach makes public commitments to a player's development, he's essentially tying his own success to that player's performance. Here's where we get to the fundamental factor that could determine Shedeur Sanders' entire NFL career, and it's something that multiple analysts are now highlighting as his biggest advantage over the competition. While talent, work ethic, and character are all important, in the NFL, physical tools often determine who gets opportunities and who doesn't, and Shedeur has a significant physical advantage that's becoming impossible to ignore. The most obvious comparison is with Dillon Gabriel, and the contrast is stark. As Mike Tannenbaum pointed out, Gabriel is in the 3rd percentile in height among NFL quarterbacks. It's really hard to have sustained success in the NFL when you are so short, Tannenbaum explained, referencing Drew Brees as the obvious outlier. This isn't just about preference, it's about the practical realities of playing quarterback in the NFL. When you're facing NFL pass rushers who are 6 feet 4 inches and taller, when you're trying to see over offensive linemen who average 6 feet 5 inches, and when you're attempting to fit passes into windows that are significantly smaller than in college football, height becomes a crucial factor. Shedeur's natural size gives him advantages that simply can't be coached or developed. But it's not just about height. Nick Wright highlighted Shedeur's overall natural tools and greater long-term potential compared to Gabriel. This includes arm strength, mobility, and the kind of physical presence that commands respect in the huddle. These are the intangible physical qualities that separate good college quarterbacks from NFL starters. The most compelling evidence of Shedeur's physical advantages comes from his training camp performance. Wright noted that in nearly every key metric, Shedeur stood out. From his accuracy and completion rate to his poise under pressure and decision-making, Sanders consistently outperformed the other quarterbacks. This isn't just about 1 or 2 impressive throws, it's about sustained excellence that demonstrates how his physical tools translate to consistent performance. What makes Shedeur's physical advantages even more significant is how they complement his mental approach to the game. Having the physical tools to make any throw on the field gives a quarterback confidence, and that confidence translates into better decision-making and leadership. When teammates see that their quarterback can make throws that others can't, it builds trust and respect throughout the entire offense. The timing aspect of Shedeur's physical development is also crucial. At his age, he's still developing physically, which means his arm strength, mobility, and overall athleticism could continue to improve. This gives him a higher ceiling than quarterbacks who are already at their physical peak. Perhaps most importantly, Shedeur's physical advantages are becoming more apparent as he faces NFL-level competition. In college, superior athletes can sometimes overcome physical limitations through scheme, supporting cast, or competition level. But in the NFL, where everyone is elite, physical tools become the primary differentiator. The most telling observation came from Wright's analysis of the overall picture. Sanders has already proven he's the top choice, and even if his performance hadn't been extraordinary, his potential and overall presence still make him the natural leader. This suggests that Shedeur's physical advantages are so significant that they create a foundation for leadership that goes beyond just performance metrics. Here's the moment that changes everything we thought we knew about how the Cleveland Browns really view Shedeur Sanders, and it's a scene that most people missed but reveals the true intentions of the organization. After Shedeur's impressive performance in his first preseason game, GM Andrew Berry didn't just offer generic praise. He sought out the rookie quarterback for a personal conversation that was captured on camera, and what he said will shock you. "Really, really good. Proud of you," Berry told Shedeur directly, but it wasn't just the words, it was the tone, the body language, and the fact that the GM made this a priority immediately after the game. In the NFL, general managers don't typically seek out rookie quarterbacks for personal praise unless they see something special. This wasn't a casual good job comment, this was a deliberate show of organizational support. But here's where it gets even more revealing. Berry continued, "Was it perfect? No. But you made plays. You operated." This shows that Berry isn't just impressed by highlight reel throws or perfect statistics. He's evaluating Shedeur based on the qualities that actually matter for NFL success, making plays when they're available, operating within the system, and showing the kind of football intelligence that can't be taught. The most significant aspect of this interaction is what it reveals about the Browns' long-term planning. When a GM personally invests in a rookie quarterback's confidence and development, it indicates that the organization sees that player as a potential cornerstone of their future. Berry's public show of support wasn't just about that one game, it was about establishing a relationship and setting expectations for Shedeur's continued development. What makes this moment even more powerful is the timing. This conversation happened before the Kenny Pickett trade, before Coach Stefanski's public commitment to Shedeur's development, and before the recent surge in media attention. Berry was already seeing something in Shedeur that others were missing, and he was willing to put his reputation behind that evaluation. The body language and tone of Berry's comments also reveal something crucial about how the organization views Shedeur's potential. When Berry said, "I'm proud," he wasn't just talking about one game's performance, he was expressing pride in the process, the work ethic, and the trajectory he was seeing from the young quarterback. Here's what most people don't understand about this interaction. In the NFL, general managers are extremely careful about the messages they send, both publicly and privately. Every comment, every gesture, and every show of support is calculated because it affects not just the individual player but also team dynamics, media narratives, and organizational credibility. For Berry to make such a public show of support for Shedeur indicates that the Browns' commitment goes far deeper than most people realize. The most telling part of Berry's comments was his focus on the future. "You operated like so. It's just stack." This suggests that Berry sees Shedeur's preseason performance as just the beginning of a development process that could lead to something much bigger. When a GM talks about stacking performances, he's thinking about long-term growth and the kind of consistency that builds franchise quarterbacks. This private moment between Barry and Shedeur represents a turning point that most fans and analysts missed, but it reveals the true depth of the Browns' investment in Shedeur's success. Now we get to the hard evidence that nobody can argue with, and these training camp statistics reveal why Nick Wright and other analysts are so confident that Shedeur Sanders is the clear choice for Cleveland's future. While some people dismiss training camp performance as meaningless, Wright made a crucial point. Maybe it's next to nothing. It's not nothing. And it's not 0% that they're worth. And every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody. But here's what makes these numbers so significant. Shedeur wasn't just in line with everybody. According to multiple reports, he was consistently outperforming the other quarterbacks in nearly every measurable category. We're talking about completion percentage, accuracy on intermediate throws, decision-making under pressure, and the kind of consistency that separates NFL-caliber quarterbacks from college players who can't make the transition. The most impressive aspect of Shedeur's training camp performance was the consistency Wright highlighted. This wasn't just a few standout practices. Shedeur delivered at a high level day in and day out. Something none of the other quarterbacks could match. In the NFL, consistency is everything because coaches need to know what they're getting from their quarterback regardless of the situation, the weather, or the pressure. What makes these training camp numbers even more compelling is how they translate to game situations. The accuracy and decision-making that Shedeur demonstrated in practice showed up immediately in preseason action, which indicates that his training camp performance wasn't just about looking good in shorts and t-shirts, it was about developing real NFL skills. The most telling statistic from training camp was Shedeur's performance under pressure. While other quarterbacks struggled when facing simulated pass rush or tight coverage, Shedeur maintained his accuracy and decision-making. This is crucial because pressure situations are where the difference between college and NFL quarterbacks becomes most apparent. Here's what most people don't understand about training camp statistics. They're not just about individual throws or completions. They're about demonstrating the mental processing speed, the arm talent, and the leadership qualities that coaches evaluate when determining who can handle the complexity of NFL offenses. Shedeur's numbers showed that he was processing information faster and making better decisions than quarterbacks with more experience. The consistency of Shedeur's training camp performance also revealed something crucial about his preparation and work ethic. Players who perform well occasionally might have talent, but players who perform well consistently have both talent and the professional approach necessary for NFL success. Shedeur's daily performance indicated that he was treating every practice like it mattered. Perhaps most importantly, these training camp numbers were being noticed by everyone in the organization. When Wright mentioned that every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody, he was referring to the fact that coaches, front office executives, and teammates were all seeing the same consistent excellence from Shedeur. The most significant aspect of these training camp statistics is what they predict about Shedeur's future performance. Players who dominate in practice typically translate that success to games, especially when they're demonstrating the kind of consistency and improvement that Shedeur showed throughout the summer. So here's what we've uncovered. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie quarterback trying to make a roster. He's a young man who has systematically proven himself at every level while maintaining the character and work ethic that franchises build around. From Stephen A. Smith's revelation about organizational belief to GM Andrew Berry's personal investment in his success, from Coach Stefanski's complete transformation to the training camp numbers that prove his superiority over the competition, everything points to one conclusion: Shedeur Sanders is about to become the Cleveland Browns franchise quarterback. The Kenny Pickett trade wasn't just about removing competition, it was about clearing the path for a player who had already earned his opportunity through performance, character, and the kind of consistency that can't be faked. With his physical advantages over Dillon Gabriel, his clean record that impresses everyone in the organization, and the unwavering support of key decision-makers, Shedeur is positioned for a breakout that could change the entire trajectory of the Browns franchise. But here's what makes this story even more compelling. We're witnessing this transformation in real time. Every practice, every preseason game, and every interaction with coaches and teammates is building towards something special. The question isn't whether Shedeur will succeed. It's how quickly he'll take over as the starter and what kind of impact he'll have on Cleveland's championship aspirations. What do you think? Are we about to witness the rise of the next great NFL quarterback, or is it still too early to crown Shedeur Sanders as Cleveland's savior? Have you been following his journey from Colorado to the NFL, and what impressed you most about his transition? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know if you think Stephen A. Smith is right about Shedeur's potential and whether Coach Stefanski's job really depends on how he handles this situation. And if you're as excited as I am to see how this story unfolds, make sure you're subscribed because I'll be covering every development in Shedeur's journey to becoming an NFL starter. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on what could be the most important quarterback story of the season.